And I think we're live. So, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is DoMoreLife. I am Jeremy Klotvelter, and I am here to clarify my position on the need for the tourism industry to reopen in Thailand and why I have been stating that some tourists should not come. I want to be very clear in this. What's up, Asia Unscripted and Thai Guy Brides? Glad to see you guys. Um, Glad to see you guys in here. For some reason, the chat is coming through a little bit weird, but that's okay. Roger McGee, good to see you, brother. Nice for you to be here. I want to explain. I'll catch the comments and say hey to you guys a little bit later, but I want to explain some things that I think perhaps some people have taken out of context. First and foremost, when it comes to the tourism industry here in Thailand, I personally have nothing to gain by it opening or reopening. So I want to make that clear. Secondly, I'm not a Thai citizen. I've not been adversely directly impacted by the opening or closing of these businesses and the lockdowns that Thailand's had to a certain degree, maybe, but not enough for me to change my mind. Also, I want you to know that I have no right or reason to complain about the tourism industry or the way Thailand's managing it because I'm on a non-immigrant visa. I'm not an immigrant here. I don't have permanent residency status. I am not a Thai citizen. This is their country, and I'm here to support them. But as an expat living and working in Thailand, it is also, I feel, my responsibility to put out information for other expats so that they understand what they're getting themselves into. So let me start with the Thai people first and foremost. The Thai culture is one of the most unique, positive, welcoming, warm cultures I've been a part of in life. I think that the Thai culture is just something that I don't want to get away from. I really, really like the Thai culture and I enjoy it. I enjoy being here, very much enjoy being here. There are people in the hospitality industry, mostly Thai citizens. There are foreigners involved in this, but there are a lot of Thai citizens as well, who are in the hospitality industry, restaurants, bars, clubs, informal workers, tour businesses owned by some Farang, some Thais that have probably not seen a paycheck in 14 months. These people are living off of handouts from either the government or from community programs. I want to commend, first and foremost, I want to commend everyone who sees this video, or even if you don't see this video, I still want to commend you for having the initiative to bring some of these food programs and these money programs that you've been able to provide to Bangkok, Phuket, Pattaya, Samui, other places where the tourism industry is basically the entire economy of that area of Thailand. The people that have put these things together are special people. I'm not going to call anybody by name because I don't know them personally, but I can tell you from videos I've watched and from the things that I understand, those people deserve a ton of credit. And for that, I am grateful that those people have allowed some of the suffering to ease on the Thai citizens, because I watched here in Bangkok firsthand as some of these Thai citizens lost their food stands, lost their jobs in the hotels, lost their jobs in restaurants, lost their jobs doing various things at clubs or bars or entertainment venues. Musicians lost their jobs and have not been able to return back. And currently, Bangkok and many other provinces surrounding Bangkok, and then some in the south are under such strict lockdowns now that you cannot do a dine-in service in Bangkok, or they're open until 9 p.m. In various areas, depending on what the situation may be. So they've essentially shut down again these industries that keep getting hit over and over and over and over and over with these highly restrictive measures. Now they've implemented, there's a ton of information I want to get out here. And I want to make sure people understand why I'm reading this stuff. I'm not just reading it for my health. This is kind of important. So there are 10 provinces that are listed as the dark red zones now. Those provinces are Bangkok, Pathum Thani, Nakhon Pathom, Samut Prakan, Nonthaburi, Samut Sakhon, Yala, Narathiwat, Patani, and Songkhla. Hey Chuck, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Thank you for joining in. Appreciate it. For all 10 provinces, and again, this is about trying the reason that I'm telling. I'm going to get to the point, make the point at the end of this live stream here. Thailand's not ready, in my opinion. This is my opinion, based on all the information I have and all the things that I've gathered. Okay, yeah, I can't say it's a fact, but it is my personal opinion and the opinion of, I believe, 75% of the Thai people, which I'm getting ready to read to you. They don't want to open the country back up, and I personally don't feel like Thailand is ready to open the country back up. The numbers that they set for the thresholds for inoculations, jabs, and other things have not been met. They haven't been met. We're in a stage of lockdown in one part of the country, and they want to reopen in another part of the country where after 14 days that everybody can travel around the country and more outbreaks can begin. To me, that's not logical. I don't understand how that happens unless you only have Phuket open and Phuket only, where people are isolated to only that area. It's a conundrum. It's a place that people don't want to be in. I want desperately to see the Thai people succeed. I want them to be able to earn a good living. I'm tired of seeing the growing number of homeless people here in Thailand. It hurts my heart, guys. It really does to see that happen. But at the same time, I have a responsibility to my community to keep them informed of the truth. And the truth is, if you get tourism popping over here in Phuket and many tourists have a negative experience of some kind, what do you think is going to happen to the tourism industry over here in Thailand? It's going to decimate it even further for many years to come. Some people have bad experiences. They get on social media and blam. They're talking bad about Thailand and their experience that they had with whatever model they chose to come in on. And all of a sudden, you don't have a thriving tourism industry anymore. And the Thai people are still out of work. That's what we want to avoid. And that's what the Thai people want to avoid. So let me give you these rundowns real quick. Message got deleted there. Chuck says, heck no, they're not ready and not ready to spend nothing that's open. I'll wait. I agree. Thank you, Roger, for catching that. Lee says, greetings. Do you feel Pattaya will be reopened by October, November? At this point, I just can't be confident in that, Lee. I just can't, because there's been so many promises, so many guarantees of timelines and that kind of thing that I believe they will open. It's been published in the World Gazette that they're going to open Phuket to foreign tourism on July 1st. Will it be successful? I just highly doubt it at this point, because there's so many areas that have not been, there's so many questions. There's still more questions than there are answers. And for that, I just feel empathy for the Thai people. I really do, because these people depend on tourism to make a living. However, if foreign tourists arrive and tourism is not what people are used to coming to Thailand and experiencing pattaya, like Chuck says, I want pattaya or nothing. That's you know, I understand that 100%, 100% understand that, and that's what a lot of people are going to expect. A lot of people are going to come here and they're going to expect to be able to go to these places, and do these things. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of provinces around Thailand right now, you have to be able to prove, you're going to have to take a test out of your own pocket, even if you are jabbed completely. I've read this. Certain provinces, even if you're jabbed completely, okay, you've had both your jabs, you're good to go, and you have you're still going to have to pay for a negative test, and in some cases you still have to do a 14-day queue in the provinces. That's if you're completely fully jabbed, have a negative test, you still have to do a 14-day either stay at home queue or in a hotel, depending on the province. This is real, guys. It's in the news. All you have to do is look it up. I'm not making this up. Chuck says, you know how much fun we had in Pattaya? I'm not talking just the bar scene. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, Crow, whatever you said, Roger's just making sure my YouTube doesn't do anything negative to the channel here. So we'll get it figured out. So let me give you this. For the 10 provinces that are in red, movements of at-risk groups are not allowed for at least 30 days, with the measure reviewed every 15 days. They've deployed 1,100 police officers to different construction sites where migrant workers work here in Bangkok, so that they cannot leave the area for 30 days. They cannot go back to the villages or to wherever they come from and risk spreading the illness anymore. They've essentially closed those people into a certain area for 30 days. So, but they're opening Phuket. Let me continue. Work from home, especially in maximum and strict control zones, is recommended. No social gatherings or parties are allowed except traditional ceremonies that have been planned. Tough legal action will be taken against those who violate the orders. Now, does that entice you as a like, let's say you're a tourist and you're going to do your 14 days on Phuket, then you want to come to Bangkok, and this restriction is in place for 30 days. It's set to be reviewed every 15 days. But what if it goes on for 30 days? You can't come, like, tough. You want to hear tough legal action will be taken because I'm in Bangkok. Like, what do I have to do in Bangkok to make sure that nothing happens to me? This is information that tourists need. It just is. Now, only for Bangkok and the 5 adjacent provinces. All construction sites and workers' dorms are closed. Construction work halted, and movement of construction workers banned for 30 days. Did you hear that? Movement of construction workers banned for at least 30 days. Okay? In other words, it's like when they closed Klong Toi, right? They didn't let anybody in or out. Same thing happening at these construction sites, these dorms. Factories must adopt a bubble and seal measure to restrict the movement of workers. So again, we're restricting the movement here. No dine-in services allowed. So there are no dine-in services allowed in Bangkok right now, and the 5 adjacent provinces. All shopping, that means restaurants and everything, they're basically out of business because 90%, this is something I just read in an article, about 90% of their business comes from dine-in customers. All shopping centers can open until 9 p.m. Theaters, cinemas, water parks, dining areas, and food courts must close. Hotels, exhibition, and convention centers can open normally, but meetings, seminars, or banquets are not allowed. All right, who's going to stay in the hotels if there are no restaurants open, if there's no nightlife, if there's no entertainment, if there's nothing to do? Who's coming to stay in the hotels? No activities involving more than 20 people are allowed. And this is where it really starts to get deep. Checkpoints on transport routes in Greater Bangkok are set up to control and stop movements of workers. Only those with permission from provincial governors are allowed. Now, only for Yala, Narathiwat, Patani, and Songkhla. When traveling to other areas, people in the 4 southern provinces must show ID cards and require documentation issued by various agencies. So that would be, hey Ross, that would be, you got to have a reason to leave the province, basically. For other provinces, set up checkpoints to screen travelers from other provinces. Isolate and, I'll just say the word, quarantine those arriving from the 10 maximum and strict control provinces. So if you're arriving to any other province in Thailand and you're coming from one of these 10 provinces, the instructions here are to isolate and make you queue. I just told you, you can't just pass through. Like you can't just pass through. They all have, I'll go back to it again for those of you that weren't in here. There are provinces right now, all of them have some kind of control measure, okay? Virtually every province in Thailand does. Whether that just be a temperature check or whether you have to pay for a test, whatever the case may be. But some of the provinces, and in fact quite a few of them, if you're fully jabbed, you've had both jabs or the one jab one, whichever, you have a negative test, okay, and you've done your 14 days in ASQ or on Phuket, if you go to certain provinces, you still have to do a 14-day queue, even if all of that has happened. So again, the Thai said, I want tourism to come back to Thailand more so bad because I'm so tired of seeing the poverty that's been created here in Thailand. I'm really sick of seeing it. And again, I commend those people who are just going out of their way to help the Thai people in their desperate time of need, because this is desperation. At the same time, how can I sit here and promote tourism in Thailand under these conditions? Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't understand. Let me go on. There were over 5,000 new cases today. I want to read you something from Bangkok Jack. And this is, again, a statement from Bangkok Jack. This is not my own, but I want to read. There are 2 articles I want to read for you guys so you can understand. And the second article is the one that's more important than this one, but listen to this one first. The headline reads, "The time has come to sack them all." This is from Albert Jack. Thailand continues to shut bars and clubs and then permit them to reopen at random, apparently without any real evidence that the closure or LDs measures actually work. He says, in fact, the real evidence points to them not working at all. It is hard to say under the current government of Thailand who lie about, well, I can't say that. Scratch that last sentence. But evidence from other countries reveal the closures as disastrous for people's health and well-being. Even so, closures and other restrictions appear to have put an end to Thailand's lucrative party industry. For some people, this is a good thing, but for those who were part of it and earning the sort of money never available back in the villages, it's been a disaster. Not only that industry, have a thought for the tens of thousands of tour guides whose money has long since run out, as I talked about earlier. Hotel workers, taxi drivers, and just about everybody else in the service industry catering for Thailand's 40 million tourists each year have also run out of savings. It's a bad predicament. This can only lead to desperation, people taking their life, and starvation, and a rise in crime. We've seen all of that over the last 14 months. All of it. Chuck says, honestly, anyone thinking to come to Thailand for vacation right now is crazy. Maybe if you're coming to live, but not the vacation, Phuket or anywhere else. There's many good countries that are fully open right now. You know, I'm inclined to say that statement is accurate, Chuck. I still have to be kind of careful about what I say here. We've seen the desperation, people that are no longer with us anymore by choice. And we've seen starvation and a rise in crime, especially petty theft and robbery. I can't go on. Unfortunately, I can't read the rest of the article because it goes into the validation of the disease itself and some questions. Chuck says there's a YouTuber from Thai that just did that, bud. She jumped. I heard about that, unfortunately. Hey, Lando. There are no girls working in Thailand as usual, putting the cart before the horse. You know, can't really argue with any of those points. I feel my worst than opening right now is going to be opening unprepared and not ready to open for the tourist, and that's going to lead to some negativity that could impact tourism in the country for years to come. If people get an idea that Thailand doesn't know what they're doing, they're not going to come here for a long time. And, you know, that's just, it's just the way it is. And I hate to say that because I support the Thai government's efforts. I've said in if you go back 6, 8, 10 months ago when all this was happening, I was talking about the Thai people losing their jobs, starvation, that kind of thing, being out of work. I wanted tourism to come back then. At that time, never do you want to see the people of the country hurting. I mean, there's such a great culture here, but at the same time, there were no real actions taken by any of the upper level authorities other than to close places or to lock people in areas, to put travel restrictions. There were no other real measures taken. So now here we are. Ross says, it's great. The government has decided to take science and throw it out the window for what their gut tells them to do. Daily Grind says, yeah, I'm going to cancel my trip for sure now. I was scheduled to be there in September. I can't blame you guys. I can't blame you. While I want to see you come, because I want to see the tourism industry thrive again, because I know that for the Farang and more importantly, the Thai citizens that are involved in that industry will have income again. But I can't tell you to come if it's not safe to come. Like, you know, how can I tell you that? The Ralph says, I know it doesn't help the present situation. One thing I reiterate is hopefully the authorities that will be looking into some sort of future unemployment system for the citizens. Me too. That's a fair point, Johnny Five. Chuck says, I was scheduled to go to the Philippines and get my girlfriend, then head to Phuket. As much as we want to do it, we both know it's going to be canceled. Can't argue that point. This is an article also from Bangkok Jack that reads 73% of Thais want the country to stay closed. A majority of people, this is his words, not mine. A majority of people disagree with upper level government here that the country would be reopened in 120 days amid the ongoing problems. According to a survey by the National Institute of Development Administration, or NIDA poll, NIDA poll. The poll was conducted by telephone interviews on June 22nd through the 25th on 1,311 people aged 15 and over of various levels of education and occupations throughout the country. Its results were broadly similar to those found by Swan Dusset poll. Asked whether they agreed with the announcement, a large majority, 73.46%, disagreed. Of them, 53.55 were in total disagreement, reasoning that the country should not risk admitting foreigners while the situation was not yet under control, adding that the reopening should be delayed until most people in the country were inoculated. 19.91% were in moderate disagreement, saying they were not confident in the government's preventative measures. On the other side, 26.01% agreed, with 12.43% in total agreement, saying it would spur the economy and revive tourism-related businesses, which is what we want. While 13.58% were in moderate agreement. The rest, 0.53%, had no answer or were not interested. Asked whether they believed the government would actually be able to reopen the country in 120 days, a majority, 71.62%, said no. 27.16% said yes, and 1.22% had no answer or were not interested. Asked whether they were ready to accept the risk of reopening leading to a more severe situation and how much they would blame the government if it occurred, 52.56% say would not accept any risk and the government must take full responsibility. 11.29% said they would not accept any risk but would not put the blame on the government. On the other side, 24.56% said they would accept the risk but the government must take total responsibility, and 9% said they would accept risk and would not blame the government. The rest, 2.59%, had no answer or were not interested. Last paragraph here, it says, asked whether they attach more importance to economic survival or health safety. 69.19% picked health safety, 18.99% picked economic survival, and 11.82% they said they were equally important. And that was from the Bangkok Post, as it turns out. We're in a conundrum. Over here. Roger says, pay unemployed to help clean up beaches and roadside dumps help two problems. I agree. Ross says it's not just the bar industry hurting, it's everywhere that tourism is the only business. I agree. Everything from haircuts to jet ski operators, 100%. Daniel says 2021 is a write-off. There's a good possibility of that. Chuck says 1,500 tours are scheduled to fly into Phuket on July 1st. I think that number is highly inflated. It could be. It definitely could be. And yes, I read that too. I don't really believe that number is going to happen, but we're waiting to see. I wanted to read you guys one more. There was one more article I wanted to read to you guys. So they're arresting people at parties. Partiers arrested in raid on down in Banglamung. They were arrested, charged. They were drinking and smoking. There was gunshots on Jomtien Beach Road. This was 19 hours ago. Nobody was injured, but you can see how the crime and stuff is starting to to rise. I just told you guys over the weekend how bad it was starting to get in certain places. Hey, Stuck, good to see you, man. Probably won't stay long as it's 3:12 a.m. Yeah, you should definitely go to bed, my friend. Hey, Richard, good to see you, bud. I guess my vacation will be next year, 2022. I mean, I want to see you guys all come July 1st, but you have to ask yourself the question. I can't give you the answer. Is it safe to come, and are you going to have a good time? With the current restrictions in place on after your 14 days in Phuket, like, what are you going to do? I mean, I don't understand. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't understand. One second, guys. Sorry, I had to answer that. So they were talking about the poll, and then there was another. Why does this thing keep resetting? So the tourism minister threatens to cancel travel stimulus if only some operators benefit. So, the Bangkok, businesses in dark red zones appeal for government aid. They're begging the government for aid because there's no business left to run. They've been closed so many times. It's just, I feel terrible because I want the Thai people to get their life back. I want the Thai citizens to prosper. And for that to happen, the tourism industry has to come back. I think that Thailand they have to understand the importance of foreign tourism now. They have to. Again, I want to commend everyone who has done anything in the way of donations or support for the Thai people. The handing out of food or water or supplies or money or whatever the case may be. I think it's a fantastic, wonderful thing. I wish I had the means and resources and time to do it myself. I really do. But I don't. I also, my heart goes out to the citizens of Thailand that are directly involved in these industries, the restaurants, hotels, all of that stuff, because that's their living income. And many of, even the people that work, I don't know if you know this or not, even the people that work in these hotels and the restaurants, some of the wait staff or some of the general staff in the hotels, they're not registered employees. They are technically informal employees, no different than a musician or a nightlife worker. They're not going to receive any kind of Social Security benefits off of this. And I haven't heard anything about, I've heard rumors about government stimulus, but I haven't heard anything concrete. And that makes me a little bit nervous too. Lando says use Q. Yep. Sorry I didn't get to see your message there, Lando. Roger's just protecting the channel. Don't get mad at him. But that's where I'm at, guys. I want to be clear that when I tell people not to come right now, it's because again, based on the facts that we have, in my opinion, the country itself is just, it's not ready for you to come and have a full tourism experience. It's just not. Timelines keep getting pushed. Timelines are not being met. Distribution of jabs is who knows what's going on with those right now. Who knows? We don't get updates very often on that. What we do get are delays. Some of the people over here, believe it or not, they're not interested in the jab. There's been some issues surrounding the jabs that people have had. I'm not, just so I'm clear, I'm not telling anyone not to do that. In fact, especially if you have underlying conditions, I encourage you to take care of your health the way you see fit. So I want to be sure I'm clear on that. But in short, guys, what do you tell people right now? We want the Thais to recover. We want Thailand to recover. But at the same time, what are people going to come over here and what are they going to report back to the rest of the world? Are they going to report back, hey, Thailand's open and it's awesome, man, you can do all this stuff? Or are they going to report back, you go to Thailand and then you can't really leave Phuket because you got to go through so many different protocols, so many different places throughout the provinces of Thailand. I wanted to go here. I wanted to see this, but I couldn't because they required me to do a 14-day queue, even though I'm all good. What do you do? Frank says, my Thai girlfriend got her jab today. Her and 20 of her co-workers, very stressful for Thais that have been waiting for jabs. I understand. The Ralph, that would be, I would assume altogether. I haven't heard any specific reports on that. Again, I'm not telling anybody not to do that, but by all means, it's your body. You do what you feel is necessary, and I'll stand by that. But the main message of this, guys, was I've done a lot of videos saying, guys, just wait. I'm not telling you not to come to Thailand. I'm telling you, wait. Because there's a lot of kinks in the system that need to be worked out. And it's only fair to the people that are going to come and spend their money in Thailand. Hey, Robert, I was going to give you a buzz before the live stream, man, but I didn't see you on Facebook. I thought you might be asleep. So I have to be fair on both ends, and that's the only way I know how to do it. I hope somebody, excuse me, I hope somebody gets a lot out of this video. I really do. I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from and why I say the things that I say and when I say them. So with that being said, guys, keep the Thai people in your thoughts, and if you want to help out in any way, there are plenty of people over here doing a lot of stuff for the Thais. You can find them online, and you can help if you're in a position to do so. That's all we can do in the meantime. Senior Frank says, as long as you don't need nightlife, there is still a lot to do in Thailand now if you're flexible and have a lot of time, money to work with. Normal 2-week vacation, not so much. And that is pretty much my whole point, Frank, to be honest with you. If you're coming over here with only a month of vacation time and you have to stay on Phuket for 14 days with limited access to stuff to do, and then you have to go to another province, which requires you to do a 14-day queue, no matter if you've had the jabs or not. I mean, what are you going to do? Even if they didn't have that in place, getting through and having to pay for extra tests as you go through the provinces, that in and of itself, some people will view. I feel like the vast majority of tourists would view that as a hassle. Some may view it as a extra safety precaution, and it's a good thing. So it depends on your perspective, really. Lando says, yeah, you coming on Thursday, you're going to be disappointed. Keep it PG. A bunch of mature ladies will be waiting for a rival. Read between the lines. Well, yeah, there's going to be, and I talked about this over the weekend, Lando, that there would be people arriving, women that would be coming down for the arrival of foreign tourists that would be available for entertainment purposes. And they will no doubt be there for sure, but it won't be at a bar or at a club because they're not going to open them unless something's changed between now and this morning, which is, I don't think it has. So with that being said, I'm going to let you guys run. I don't want to go on forever and ever. I just wanted to give you an update and a good clarifying position on that. I appreciate you guys. Love the Do More Life family. Thank you to my moderators, and thank you guys for commenting. I appreciate you participating in the chat. Jason says, I don't see the numbers of really downward trending until the majority are just a whole bunch of words in there. I can't read, Jason. Sorry. Yep, it could end up that way. Sorry, bud. Too many words in there for YouTube. But you have a solid point, Jason. No doubt. I'll see you guys on the next one. Whatever you do today, be sure you do more life. See ya.